Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. First off, let me apologise for my quite hoarse sounding voice. I've not been too well this week, but you know, I'm still trying to bring you some good content. Let's get straight into it. This video is about an absolute bargain of a guitar I've bought this week, and the project to kind of do it up and get it back to kind of full working order. So I've managed to pick up a Fender Duo Sonic from the Offset range from back in 2016 for £125. Yep, £125. Now, it's not in the best condition. It definitely needs some work. I'll stick some clips in here so you can see what it's looking like, but it definitely needs a bit of work. So make sure you stick around to the end for the big reveal. I'll show you the combination of all the work I've done on this guitar to get it playing nicely, you know, to bring it back to life basically. So what's the restore plan for this guitar then? Well, first off, it needs a bloody good clean. In fact, I might need to go get a tetanus shot once I'm done with it, to be honest. The strings on it were really rusty. You got rust on the bridge, all that kind of stuff. It's disgusting. It's covered in fluff and what have you, and all sorts of God knows what. So I'm going to get it all cleaned up, and that's the first bit. Next up, we'll get the bridge off, take it all apart, soak it in some vinegar, try and get rid of that rust. We're going to take a look at the electronics. Now, the previous owner did report that there was some issues with the electronics and it wasn't working properly, partly why he sold it to me so cheap, to be honest. But we'll take a look, see what they look like, and see if we need to do any work under the hood. Then we're going to need to take a look at the fretboard. I think we're going to at least need to do a fret polish on this. Possibly more. I hope not more, because if we do, then yeah, it's a little bit out of my skill set. And then finally, we need to get it all put back together, set up with some 11s, and you know, give it a play. Well, before we take a look at that restore process, guys, I'm trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Now, I'm past 500 already, which is great. Thanks everybody that's subscribed so far. Really appreciate it, but really need a big push to get me up to that 1,000 before the end of the year. So anything you can do to help out. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, like the video, share the video, all that good stuff. Cheers. Right, so as I mentioned, this guitar was absolutely filthy. It was disgusting. You know, we're talking rusted strings. I haven't seen a guitar with rusty strings in a long time. Covered in a kind of furry fluff all over. We'll put some clips in, of course. Most worryingly, it's quite rusty on the bridge and the saddles, and that's, you know, not great, because that can cause you issues with your string snapping and what have you. So the first thing I did was really clean it up with some Dettol, really, you know, get some anti-bac on there. Got rid of all of the gunk and what have you. The shell of the guitar actually looks really good. There's a couple of little dings on the body, but really for a guitar that was built in 2016, and I've checked the neck date and it is a 2016 guitar, it's in really quite good condition body-wise anyway. So the next thing I did was take that bridge apart completely, took it off the guitar completely, and I soaked it in vinegar overnight. That seemed to do the trick. I did have a bit of a fail with that, to be honest. I'd left them soaking overnight. They're all fine the next day, but I, you know, went to clean them off a bit. Decided that I was going to rinse them all off once I kind of scrubbed them with a toothbrush and what have you. So rinse them with water, but my plan was to immediately dry them on a bit of kitchen roll. I did that, I left them for a while, and they immediately started to oxidize and rust again. Either that or I just didn't do a very good job, but when I came back to it later on, it definitely looked like the rust had kind of started to come back already. So I went back at it again with some WD-40, and then I've also let them sit in some lighter fluids and naphtha for a while as well, and we should be looking pretty good now. But you know, we're going to put all that back together at some point, but first we're going to take a look at the electronics. Now, the previous owner did let me know that he thought there was a problem with the electronics, and the volume and tone knobs actually kind of didn't fully spin around, but you could feel that they weren't tightened down in the pick guard. You know, that's usually a sign that a wire is broken, if there's no sound coming out of the guitar and those pots are moving more than they should do. I didn't actually plug it in beforehand because I knew I was going to tear it all down anyway and, you know, take a look at everything. But I was quite surprised to see, flipping over the pick guard, that all the wiring looked completely intact. It looked fine. It didn't look like there was really any problems with the wiring. So what it could be is, it could be the selector switch isn't quite engaging properly, or there's a bit of dirt in the selector switch. So once I've got it all back together, I'll test the electronics. If there's still a problem, I'll probably just clean the selector switch with some WD-40. Usually does the trick, to be honest. So I've got the neck off at the moment. The tuners are in great condition. They were a bit dirty, but they've cleaned up really nicely. I've taken the string tree off just to kind of give that a clean as well, just in case there was any rust on that. The frets themselves need quite a bit of work. Now, they probably need a fret level. In fact, I'd say they'd almost definitely needs a fret level for it to play really, really well. But that is a bit beyond my skills at the moment. I can see as well it's got a bit of fret sprout along the bottom, and some of the kind of lacquer is kind of popping out a bit where the end of the fret's kind of sprouting out. Probably not going to do a lot about that right now. What I want to do is get it playable and just make sure everything else works. So we're going to polish up the frets, and I'll try and put some footage of that in, or at least some photographs of before and after, and that'll be the next sorted for now at least. You can even see some of the rust in the nut from the rusty strings, so we'll have to give that a bit of a clean out as well. With the original strings on, the neck looked pretty straight, didn't look like it was massively bowed or anything like that, so yeah, all good. The final thing then is just to get it all put back together and set up. Again, I don't think it's going to play brilliantly because of the fret problems, but I think it'll be okay. I think it'll, we'll get by. Putting it all back together might be a little bit in the future, so I'll probably cut to a couple of days time in a little while. The guitar's still in pieces at the moment. But yeah, so we'll check in again once it's all back together, and we'll do some demos and what have you.
Several days later.
Well guys, it's a couple of days later now, and the guitar is all back together. And actually, I'm really quite pleased with how this went. Like, I thought it was probably going to be quite a bit more work to get this into a playing condition, but as it happens, it didn't need too much really. The main thing was cleaning it up. It was filthy. But the rust on the bridge was what worried me the most, and it's pretty much completely gone. So I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. I did mention before that the frets probably need a fret level, if I'm being completely honest, and I think that's right. I mean, it does set up and play without any issues, so you can probably still get away with it for quite a while. There's no buzzing issues or anything, but they definitely would benefit from being leveled, crowned and polished. But again, that's a bit outside of my skill level with setting up guitars, so I'm not going to attempt that. So look, as promised, we'll do a quick demo, get some sounds and what have you, and I'll put in some shots of the guitar in its fully restored state. Before we do the demo, of course, I will talk you through some specs. So we have an alder body, C-shaped maple neck and fretboard, 24-inch scale, 9.5-inch radius, and medium jumbo frets. It's finished in Torino red, and that's a poly finish, and we've got a 3-ply mint green pickguard. It's a string through hardtail, and it has kind of regular Fender tuners. We also have two Duo Sonic pickups, which are actually quite Strat-like from my understanding. They're kind of a flat pole piece Strat pickup with a white plastic cover on top of them. Right then, on to the demo. So one thing to just bear in mind before we do play anything, the pickup selector is the wrong way around at the moment. I need to just undo that and twist it around. But so that means that the neck pickup is with the switch that way, and the bridge pickup is with the switch that way. I'll fix that. I'm sure I will at some point. So yeah, this should be the bridge then. And we'll go both. And then neck. Right, so verdict on the guitar then. What do I think of it after spending a bit of time with it now that it's all back together? Well, look, I think it's a really cool entry-level Fender, right? So I don't think it was ever going to blow me away. But you know, it's a quality you would expect from Fender at really quite a nice price point. Now, they don't make this particular one anymore in the Torino Red, but you can still get the Duo Sonic in the Fender range. I think it's part of the Player series now. When this first came out, it was a standalone series, the Offset series, so they just kind of moved it into the Player series when the Player series launched. I was a bit intrigued as to what I'd think about the short scale. I've played short scale guitars before. I've had a Squier Supersonic as well as the Fender Supersonic in the past. That's that kind of crazy kind of backwards mirror reverse Jaguar guitar, and that was a short scale. That was 24-inch scale as well. And to be honest, it felt a bit less kind of toy-like, the Supersonic, I think, because the body was ever so slightly bigger, and maybe because it was just a bit weird, I didn't notice it so much. But this, it feels really small on me. You know, I'm a big guy, and I'm used to kind of the full-scale Fenders, so Strats, Tellys, Jazzmasters, that kind of stuff. So it just feels a little small and tiny to me. But I think it'd be a really great guitar for anyone that's either just getting into learning guitar, or someone that's younger, small hands, all that kind of stuff. Or, you know, just a guitar to have around your front room for jamming and picking up every now and again. They're pretty affordable, even, you know, even when you don't get them as cheap as I did. And yeah, just, you know, a guitar that you could probably have kicking around the house without worrying about it too much. So am I going to keep this or am I going to move it on? Well, I've got quite a few guitars. I'm not really sure this one kind of slots into any niche that I'm looking to fill at the moment. So I am probably going to move it on. But yeah, it's been a fun project, to be honest. I really like kind of rescuing guitars that, you know, need a bit of love and, you know, getting them back into a playing condition so someone else can enjoy them. And, you know, that's what I've done with this. And, you know, it'd be nice for someone else to really get some enjoyment out of a guitar that, to be honest, if it stayed in my collection, it would probably mostly just sit on a guitar rack unplayed. So I'm going to list it up for sale, and yeah, hopefully someone gets a really nice guitar that they're, you know, really happy with. Alright guys, if you made it all the way to the end, thanks so much for checking out this Fender Duo Sonic with me. It's been a real fun project, restoring this and getting it nice and playable again. If you did like the video, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends and everything. Trying to get to that 1,000 before the end of the year. And yeah, if you want to check out any of my other videos, I'll link a couple over here. But yeah, thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.